welcome to the Gump Report. You never know what you're going to get. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Now, I want to say that you'll be seeing 2 Gump Reports in this week. Yes, I'm going to try and film 2 back-to-back right now. This one will be about what you see on the title. It's about Vince. The other one is going to be about Sasha Banks and maybe a little bit of Josh Alexander. And maybe something else I was thinking about. I am thinking about something else, but it'll probably be about those 2. But let's make this clear why I didn't do Battle of Belt. The reason I'm botching about Battle... Guys, you look at Battle of the Belts 5. And the reason I'm botching, it didn't feel like it was worth reporting. Now, it wasn't bad. Look, seeing Ortiz and Eddie Kingston together and seeing that the problems with the House of Black is going on, but then it's like, it's going on Dark and Dark Elevation. It's not on Dynamite. It's not on Rampage where it should be. Those are supposed to be for developmental. Why is Eddie Kingston and Ortiz on there? Because they got no room. So that means they're not that important. Because if you were smart, which seems that Tony's not, he would have reorientated the YouTube channel to make it more important. But it isn't. So there's nothing there. The matches were not bad. The last match, Kip Sabian and look, seeing Kip Sabian get hugged by Penelope, his wife, and then a very busty bunny, Cherry Bomb, is something many men wish they could be. Having boobs here, having boobs here, yeah, having your beautiful wife here, having one of your friends' own wife who's got big boobs. There, you're not trying to hit on her, but it's boobs. You're feeling another set of boobs in your arm. Come on. You're going to be going, I'm trying not to get aroused, but damn, her tits are big. Honesty. That is honesty for a woman or a man. If a woman gets hugged the same way, I'm telling you right now, if a woman gets hugged the same way as a man in that situation, she's going to think the same damn thing. Damn, those tits are big. Just like a man. Boom. His wife's boobs are nice. They're beautiful. But boom, those are big. I'm just saying both sexes would do the same thing. And the matches were fine. Just, it didn't feel like it was worth reporting. Not that it was a bad show. It just didn't have enough. But you're not here for that. I just wanted to explain it. This is about Vince. Now, before I get started, let's make this clear, guys. I am not doing heavy reporting here. You want more detail? Go to Just Alex. And definitely go to JD, even though he's going to curse his ass off. Yes, he got his own New York attitude because that's my boy. He's no different than me. We got an attitude, even though mine is like here. And he's like this. He's like this, and I'm like this. I'm more modest, even though I do have maybe a tiny bit of charisma. They've done much more better reporting than me. You want to learn more about what's going on? Go to their channels. Watch the videos about Vince. This is just my understanding of it, and I'm condensing it down to not really overcomplicating things and my thoughts about what's going to go on from this forward. Now, what it comes down to is this. Somewhere around the middle to the beginning of December, Vince decided to have a little bit of communications with the board. He sent them some emails, and he made it very clear in those emails. At least 3 to 5 emails were sent back and forth between the two, between the board and Vince himself. Vince making it very clear that he has found an opportunity for selling the company. He believes that at this point, the best person to deal with this is him. So he wants to come back. He tells that in the board in the very first email. And that's somewhere between maybe the 10th of December to about the 20th. I can't remember where. Now the board, in their wisdom, sent a message back to him saying, that sounds good, but having you come back doesn't seem to be the most wisest thing. And on top of that, because of the allegations that not only were still ongoing and that we know more about than what the allegations that are known to the general public, it wouldn't be wise for you to come back. Essentially speaking, the board said in their email going back that sounds great next to you, because he did say that the current people in place for the product, for for what's going on with the talent, what's going on with creative is doing great, and they agreed that the people there are great because pretty much they are doing well, means nothing. We don't want you to come back. The allegations are not fully taken care of through the U.S. government, and we know there's more because we know what it is in our own internal. So we don't need you. Message coming back boils down to this. He says there is a very narrow window for us to do the sale. And as the head shareholder, I said many, many months ago, and I thought it was like 50 or 54%, that he had more of the lion's share than anyone else. I was way wrong. Guys, the guy has over 80% shares in the damn company. Probably his daughter and his son-in-law got more shares than any of the rest of the board. So he made it very clear, I got 80% of shares in the damn company. You can't do anything with that. You need me. He sent that. The board again said, we don't need you right now. But we are interested in finding out what you're talking about when it comes to the sale. And particularly what's going on with the renegotiation on USA Network, because that's coming up next year. So what they normally do, this one I understand, what they normally do when a negotiation for a renegotiation, well, essentially, internally they negotiate what they like to have. The board, what they want to get from the renegotiation. Then when that time comes and they got to do the renegotiation, they'll know exactly what they want. So when they go to the network, they can say, well, this is what we want, what you want, okay, this is what we want, and then they come somewhere in the middle, at least if they can. Vince is making it very clear by the third email he sends that you need me, I am the majority shareholder. This is still, again, a very narrow window for selling the company. And because I have the most shares, you cannot make a decision about renegotiation without me. In other words, like I said, what they do internally, they negotiate between each other. Well, communicate between each other what they think, the board thinks is good for the company. They negotiate between each other, coming up with ideas of what we should try to get, see how much more time we get, how much more money we can get, any type of advertisement, all that stuff. Vince is basically saying none of that matters. You can say whatever you want and take it over to the network. I'm going to A6 it because I have 80% of the shares in the company. You can't get shit done without me. So he made it very clear in a final email that it would be prudent to get this done now. We need time to start getting it straight. And since I am the head of the shareholders, because I got the most shares, it would be wise to abide by my decisions. Now, on the 5th, it was already stated, well, this was done just before the 5th. I think about on the 31st, if I'm right, 30th or 31st. He sent that email, and he wanted them to get back to him by the 5th, I believe. By the 5th, they already decided to let him back in. And not only by the 6th was he back in, you'll love this if you haven't heard already. He decided to bring back 2 people he fired about almost 2 years ago when the pandemic started and they were trying to cost cut everything because they couldn't travel. 2 people who normally worked on the WWE network, 2 executives. He brought them back. And in exchange for bringing them back and himself, he fired 3 shareholders. And because those 3 shareholders were gone, and those were the 3 major shareholders who were against Vince coming back, the remaining 2 who were also against Vince coming back, who were doing the investigation, they flat out resigned and said, fuck this shit, I'm out. That line saying, fuck that shit, I'm out. That is it. That is not a funny thing to say. But essentially, the remaining shareholders who were working on all of the allegations, and they were also the ones who said, this is not right. This is a conflict of interest. You're still under investigation, Vince. This is what they were basically saying in the emails back and forth. Vince, you've done a great job, but let's be honest. You're still under investigation by the federal government. We have stuff on you that has not been revealed that is even more detailed than what the government is probably going through. And we're the ones who did the investigation. It would be a conflict of interest that you, as the primary shareholder, comes back, that you're our boss again, but then we're still doing the investigation. That's not right. So those last two said, we're done. There's no point in staying there knowing full well that we did the investigation. We did find stuff on you. The federal government is still working and processing that information. We don't want to have nothing to do with it. We're leaving. So when it comes down to the majority of shareholders, there are 3 of the originals, because there was, 12 originally? Not counting Vince. There were 3 of them that, pretty much maybe neutral. Then there was the 5 that now left. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The 4 status with Vince right now. Stephanie, Paul, Triple H, Nick Khan, Vince himself, and the 2 other that he brought in when he fired the other 3. That's it. I'm telling you right now, because if anyone, and I've heard what JD talked about, that he's heard people say, this isn't a bad thing, don't worry about it. Guys, I'm going to say this, and I wish I wasn't right. I'm going to say this. If anyone has seen my videos, I would recommend, because there's no way for me to start tracking the original video down that I said this. Because right now YouTube does not have a oldest video anymore. There's only popular and there's most recent. If you really know what I've said, if you know which video it is, because I don't even remember anymore. I've done over 2,000 some odd videos. I can't remember where I said this. Go look for it yourself. If you want other people to see it, that I said this ahead of time, post it in the comments if you want to do that. That's up to you. I think it was in another Gump report. I don't remember which one it is. If you want to post it, and I'll probably pin it so everybody else can see the video and you can see that I said this many months ago, that this was not going to be good, that there was a possibility of a civil war building up in the WWE after Vince was gone. Particularly that not every person that Vince, Bruce, and Kevin Dunn put in power were leaving. That sooner or later, there was going to be something said, because everyone was saying this was great, this was positive, and I said, no. Look, it's a good thing to see things have changed a little bit, but there's no way this is going to be smooth sailing. Just because everyone said that everything was great under Triple H does not mean there will not be some type of problem. I believed at the time, I do remember this, that when it comes to what happened after Vince left, there was still a lot of executives, a lot of people in certain positions that Vince, Kevin Dunn, and Bruce had put in those positions. They're not fired, and sooner or later, we're going to hear a conflict between the original people who they put in power and the ones that Triple H, Steph, and Nick, if Nick was going to be on their side and not act like a Vince. There was going to be 2 factions. There was going to be butting heads eventually, and we would start hearing problems. Well, in this situation, look what we got. With Vince now have returned as CEO, and he said himself, I'm only here for the negotiation, which is a lie. There's no way, because just now, Dave Meltzer has just given a report that Vince, from last week, wanted to be involved in creative. He isn't involved yet. Right now, he's not been working in Connecticut, and he's not been seen on the shows. He's not been seen on SmackDown, Raw, or NXT. But last week, they already heard through Dave Meltzer. He believed, he said it himself, that they've already heard rumors or information that Vince already wanted to know what was going on with the product. He wanted to know what was the current path for what's going on for the individual wrestlers and the storylines. He's already asking about it. He said he doesn't want to know anything, but he's asking about it. He's not supposed to deal with that. He's only supposed to be back for the negotiation for the possible selling of the company before the negotiation of the networks. So, Vince is back, and it's a good chance within the next couple of weeks or couple of months, he will regain creative. Now, I've heard many people believe that Vince will sell, but he may stay behind. Or this could be that Vince may not sell and still be in charge. Now, this is the thing. There's been a lot of rumors that the negotiations going on, and one firm has been contacted. I can't remember, Saks. I believe that's the name of it. But the point is not about if he really is selling or if he's not selling, guys. This is what it's all about. Vince will always be in charge of the company. Whether he sells it to possibly to Saudi Arabia, which will be a really hard sell, not because they wouldn't buy it, it's because, understand, the people in Saudi Arabia are going to have a certain attitude. Remember how they treat women? How do you think they're going to act with women in pro wrestling? Think very carefully. Right now, supposedly, like in Jeddah, they are now supposedly being more friendly for women in wrestling, or for women to be represented. What happened if the Prince decides not to do that anymore? He will give a direct order through WWE to get rid of all women in wrestling for the company. He could do that. Don't think they won't. If they sell to the Saudis, if they sell to the Prince, and he decides through the religious sect that this company should not have women wrestling at all, they shouldn't even be dressed scantily, they'll either give an order through Vince to get every woman off of pro wrestling, and they may not even be female managers anymore. That could end. And every woman that's currently in WWE that would normally be following as a manager or as a wrestler will be axed. That could happen. Don't ever think it won't. Now, if it goes to one of the other places like Fox, like Universal, which would be under Peacock, or like UFC. I can't remember what the company is currently owning UFC and Dana White, but they could do it. Doesn't mean that the product will change, but it doesn't really matter. Vince, if he could sell it, will put in the agreement. Not only does he get paid a big amount of money, because he's the monster shareholder, he could say, my family must be the one to run the day-to-day operations of the company in your behalf. And I am one of the premier people who does creative. If it's not me, on the possibility of my death, it could be my wife and my son-in-law, Paul Levesque, or anyone else, I believe, like Bruce Pritchard or Kevin Dunn, or maybe even Shane McMahon could come back. And you know what happened with Shane going crazy in Royal Rumble last year, where he eventually got kicked out by Vince, but he could put in the agreement that if anything happened to him, if Shane is available, he can come in and run the place. But he won't own it. Guys, this is what the situation is now. If you think WWE is safe, no. If you think WWE's creative is safe, no. Should we still care about WWE? Yes. Because at this point, we still don't know what the full scope is. Vince could actually do a very shocking 180, not take creative, which I don't believe that. Not be in charge of the day-to-day operations, which I don't believe that he will. Just do the sale, then, like an old Western, right off into the sunset. That could actually happen. That's extremely remote, but I don't believe it. But that could happen. What would happen is that in the next 3 to 6 months, because that's what he said is the window, he's going to get power back. There's no way Vince will not try to get back into creative. I truly do believe it. Do I believe Kevin Dunn will be rehired? Yes, I do. Do I believe Bruce Pritchard will be by his side when he does that? Yes, I do. Do I believe Triple H will be relegated to being a yes man? Yes. I do not believe Triple H will be in charge for very long. Do I believe Stephanie will be in charge of anything? Yes, she'll be. As a shareholder, along with Paul Levesque, they will be part of mostly of the operations of the company, but they will not be directly responsible for anything. Nothing serious. Paul definitely will not be responsible creative unless he's going back to NXT. That might be the only option he may have if he wants to still do things in creative, and Vince is now taking full control of creative for SmackDown, Raw, and all pay-per-views. If Vince takes that all over, you can get Paul saying, I want to go back to NXT. And Vince may say, okay, but you're going to follow these orders. This is where you run NXT here, here, here. And if that happens, not only Paul will have no real flexibility, worse yet, guess who loses out over everyone? HBK. Shawn Michaels, who's currently the head of creative, supposedly, of NXT 2.0, he'll lose total authority, and it will be back to the way it was before, where he will be under Paul, who will be following orders directly from Vince. And if they are, and that's still a question, if they're going to use WWE, what was it? Not UK, NXT UK, maybe WWE NXT Europe. That's what it's called. Sorry, I was trying to remember. If they're going to do NXT Europe again, like they did UK, maybe he'll be sent out there to work with it. But there's no guarantee that he may do anything anymore. Done. So this is a possibility of what we're going to have. Vince now is back. That's one. Dave Meltzer's already reported that he's asked questions last week about how creative is running right now. That's two. He wants information. Three, there's a good chance he will go back to creative, rehire Kevin Dunn, move up Bruce Pritchard, and at that point, Triple H, who is currently head of creative, will be stepped down, out of the picture. All three of them will be brought up. Steph will not have much power. Triple H will not have much more power. And when it comes to when it comes to all of the wrestlers who just came back, think about it for a minute. Vince wasn't very kind to many of them. He saw nothing with many of them. How long do you think it'll be before they're either relegated to go into catering, or they may even get catering? They may just be fired outright. Vince may just say, okay, I'm back in charge. She's gone. Release her. Release her. Release him. Release him. I want that one to stay and be humiliated. I want those to be in catering. Maybe I might do something with them. Put those in catering. I want them. Those right there, I want them pushed. How? How do I want them pushed? I don't know. Just throw them out there until I decide what to do with them. That is what Vince used to do. And that is what Vince may go back to. This is what it is as far as the landscape of WWE. And what this is finally mean for fans. Guys, for the last 5 to 6 months, because the first couple of months people didn't. I think it's been like 7 to 8 months. Well, wait a minute. July, August, September, October, November, December, January. Okay, it's been roughly 6 to 7 months. Let's say 7 months has been pretty much it. And those first two, nobody completely trusted. I mean, there were several people who went to AEW or Impact or MLW or NWA or whatever shows they wanted. Dragon Gate, New Japan Pro Wrestling, it don't make a difference. They had left years ago. It took them at least a month or two before they said, okay, the product does look different. Let me start watching again. And that is the reason why we've been getting ticket sales. That's the reason why the pay-per-view sales have gone up. Because of the change. Due to this, unless you want to wait until Vince totally takes over and shit gets messed up, many people are going to say, if they understand the situation, fuck this shit, I'm out. I'm sorry for cursing. But that's what's going to come down to. People are going to either stick and see if Vince really is in charge of creative or not, or they leave again. And does that look good for WWE? No, but it's not going to matter. They're still making money. Their stock is up because of the possible sale. And I know people are going to say, dude, the stocks are up now that Vince is there. No. The moment, you got to understand how the stock market works. When there's an announcement of a possible sale of $1 billion company or $1 billion plus company, that makes the stock go up or the stock go down. If there's an investigation of a company through embezzlement because of their shareholders, that will bring the stock up or the stock down. It is not because Vince is back. Nope. It was because the announcement of Vince that he wants to sell the company and that someone is interested. That is what brought the stock up. That's just how stock market 101 works. It is not about Vince coming back. That would affect the fans more and would affect the stock market. Understand, if he wasn't selling, the stock market would have still gone up anyway, but not very high. Not the way that it did with the announcement of the possible sale. And the possible stocks, anybody that has, means something. Right now, I think it's $88 or $87 a share by the time they started the announcements. I think that was 2 days ago. It could be up to $90 now because the anticipation of selling the stock is there. So that's the thing many people are going to say. And that's the end of this Gump report. Please give me a comment below. I will be recording my next Gump report right after this, so you will still see the shirt. And it might be released by Friday. I don't know when, because I got stuff to do this week. Peace.